What's up, YouTube? Got another one for you. This is my chapter 17, Physiology of the Kidneys slides. Laboratory 10, urinary system. Minor calyx, renal pelvis, kidney, ureter, and urinary bladder. That's what those are. Got the kidneys, renal vein, renal artery, got the ureter, urinary bladder, and the urethra. Kidney function, primary regulation of ECF through formation of urine. By producing urine, the kidneys also regulate volume of blood plasma, waste products in the blood, concentration of electrolytes, pH, red blood cell production, secrete erythropoietin. By producing urine, the kidneys also regulate volume of the blood plasma, blood pressure. By producing urine, the kidneys also regulate concentration of electrolytes, sodium, potassium, and bicarbonate ion. Structure of the kidneys has two distinct regions, outer cortex and medulla. The outer cortex of the kidneys has many capillaries and nephrons. Medulla, the inner medulla of the kidneys has renal pyramids separated by renal columns, minor calyces, which unite to form a major calyx and a renal pelvis. Here we got an overview of the kidneys. Got the renal cortex, renal medulla, renal pyramid, renal column, renal cortex, minor calyx, major calyx, renal medulla, renal artery, renal vein, ureter, renal papilla, minor calyx, got the nephrons. You got another view of the kidney. Got the interlobar artery and vein, renal cortex, arcuate artery and vein, renal medulla, interlobar artery and vein, renal artery, renal pelvis, renal vein. We got the ureter. Nephron equals functional unit of the kidney. Consists of blood vessels and urinary tubules. Distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct, loop of Henle, proximal convoluted tubule, glomerular capillary. So it goes in the glomerular capillary to the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle to the distal convoluted tubule to the collecting duct. That's the nephron. Nephrons consist of blood vessels and urinary tubules. Types of nephron. Cortical nephron involved in solute reabsorption. And then we got the juxtamedullary nephron that focus on reabsorption of water, produce a concentrated urine. We got the cortical nephron and the juxtamedullary nephron over there. We got the glomerulus and the blood flow. Got the renal cortex, the renal medulla, and the collecting duct. The collecting duct feeds into the bladders, I think. Blood vessels, afferent, arterial, glomeruli, efferent, arterial, and peritubular capillaries. Afferent, arterial, incoming, glomeruli, capillary ball, efferent, outgoing, and peritubular capillaries. Here we got a picture of that. Got the glomerulus, glomerular capsule, efferent arterioles, afferent arterioles, interlobar artery, proximal convoluted tubule, arcuate artery and vein, interlobar artery and vein, nephron loop of Henle, descending limb, ascending limb, peritubular capillaries, vasa recta, peritubular capillaries, distal convoluted tubule, interlobar vein, and collecting duct. Bowman's capsule surrounds the glomerulus, located where glomerular filtration occurs. PCT, glomerular capsule, glomerulus, blood flow. Glomerular capillary membrane pores are large, 100 to 400 times more permeable to plasma, H2O, and solutes. Pores are small enough to prevent red blood cells and white blood cells from passing through. Proximal convoluted tubule, glomerulus, afferent arterial blood flow, efferent arterial, parietal layer of glomerular capsule, glomerular Bowman's capsule, podocyte of visceral layer of glomerular capsule, primary process, pedicle foot process, capillary endothelium, basal lamina, podocyte pedicle, filtration slits, glomerulus, and capsule. Glomerular filtration, production of ultrafiltrate under hydrostatic pressure, GFR glomerular filtration rate, volume of filtrate produced by both kidneys each minute, average 180 liters a day or 45 gallons. Glomerular Bowman's capsule, glomerular ultrafiltrate, afferent arterial protein, other solutes, efferent arterial. Efferent away, afferent in. Regulation of GFR, vasoconstriction, vasodilation of afferent arterioles affect the rate of blood flow into the glomerulus. Mechanisms, sympathetic nervous system, and autoregulation of the GFR mechanisms. Controlled by vasoconstriction and vasodilation of GFR mechanisms, sympathetic nervous system, and autoregulation. Sympathetic nervous system stimulates vasoconstriction of afferent arterioles, preserves blood volume to muscle and heart, decrease glomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure, decrease urine output, UL. Sympathetic nervous effects, blood pressure, baroreceptor reflex, exercise, sympathetic nervous activities, cardiac output, vasoconstriction of afferent arterioles, GFR, urine production, blood volume, sympathetic nervous activities, vasoconstriction in skin, GI tract, total peripheral resistance. Renal autoregulation, ability of kidneys to maintain a constant GFR under systemic changes, achieved through effects of locally produced chemicals on the afferent arterioles, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone. When blood pressure drops, dilate afferent arterioles. When blood pressure increases, constrict afferent arterioles. Got the glomerulus capsule, glomerulus, region of the juxtamerular apparatus, afferent arterial distal convoluted tubule, efferent arterial loop of Henle. Then we got the glomerulus and the afferent arterial granular cells, macula densa, juxtaglomerular apparatus makes up the granular cells in the macula densa, or granular cells in the macula densa make up the juxtaglomerular apparatus. And we got the thick ascending limb. juxtaglomerular apparatus region in each nephron where the afferent arteriole comes in contact the thick ascending limb of the loop. Granular cells secrete renin, converts angiotensin to angiotensin 1, initiates the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, negative feedback. Macula densa inhibit renin secretion when blood sodium increases. Granular cells secrete renin. Okay. Juxtaglomerular apparatus, macula densa, glomerulus, afferent arteriole, juxtaglomerulus, granular cells, macula densa, thick ascending limb. So juxtaglomerular apparatus, granular cells, and macula densa make up the juxtaglomerular apparatus. And granular cells secrete renin, converts angiotensin to angiotensinogen to angiotensin, initiates renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, negative feedback. Macula densa inhibits renin secretion when blood sodium is increased. Nephron, urinary tubules, Bowman's capsule, proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, collecting duct. Kidney, single nephron tubules. Got the proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, and collecting ducts of the nephrons. Glomerular capsule, efferent arteriole, interlobar artery, proximal convoluted tubule, arcuate artery and vein, interlobar artery and vein, nephron loop, descending limb, ascending limb, paratubular capillaries, distal convoluted tubules, interlobar vein, collecting duct, paratubular capillaries, vasa recta. Sodium and water reabsorption. Got the isotonic tubular fluid, proximal tubule, glomerular filtrate, glomerular capsule, glomerulus, blood flow. Sodium and potassium are reabsorbed by active transport. Blood flow, negatively charged ions are attracted to positively charged ions. Passive transport, as concentration of ions solute increases in plasma, osmotic pressure increases. Water moves from renal tubule to capillary by osmosis. Paratubular capillaries, blood flow. Got sodium, potassium chloride, PO, bicarbonate ion, sodium chloride, H2O. Reabsorption, filtration, glomerular, Bowman's capsule, glomerulus. Secretion, removal of substances from the paratubular capillaries to the urine. Tubular secretion, renal tube, glomerular filtrate to glomerulus, glomerular capsule, blood flow, paratubular capillary, tubular secrete, blood flow. Afferent arteriole, efferent arteriole. PCT, returns most solutes and H2O from filtrate back to bloodstream, 85%. Reabsorption, 180 liters of ultrafiltrate produced only 1 to 2 liters of urine excreted in 24 hours. Minimum of 400 milliliters a day necessary to excrete metabolic waste. Obligatory water loss. Loop of Henle, descending limb, H2O, reabsorption. Ascending limb, active transport of sodium, impermeable to H2O. Water leaves when sodium is pulled out. There's the descending limb passively permeable to water, ascending limb active transport of sodium chloride follows passively impermeable to water. Countercurrent multiplier. In order for H2O to be reabsorbed, interstitial fluid must be hypertonic. Osmotic pressure of the tissue fluid is 4 times that of plasma. Results partly from the fact that tubule bends permitting interaction between the descending and ascending limbs. One side is permeable to water, one side is not. Countercurrent mechanism. H2O out, sodium salty, sodium chloride out, H2O out, sodium chloride out, even more salty. A little bit of H2O out, a little bit of sodium chloride out, more salty. DCT, finishes determination of urine composition. Functions, secrete, reabsorb. Collecting duct, receives fluid from the DCT of several nephrons, passes through renal pyramid to renal calyx. Function, plays important role in water conservation, is impermeable to salt and medulla. Permeability to H2O depends on levels of ADH. Get this picture a lot, huh? Here we got the glomerular capsule, efferent arteriole, afferent arteriole, interlobar artery, proximal convoluted tubule, arcuate artery and vein, interlobar artery and vein, nephron, loop of Henle, descending limb, ascending limb, paratubular capillaries, vasa recta, distal convoluted tubule, interlobar vein, and the collecting duct. Renal transport threshold, minimum concentration of a substance that results in excretion of that substance in the urine. Diuretics, increase urine volume excreted. Increase the proportion of glomerular filtrate that is excreted as urine. Loop diuretics inhibit sodium chloride transport of ascending limb of the loop of Henle. Thiazide diuretics inhibit sodium chloride reabsorption in the distal convoluted tubule. Calcium inhibitors prevent H2O reabsorption when bicarbonate ion is reabsorbed. Osmotic diuretics increase osmotic pressure of filtrate. Electrolyte balance. Kidneys regulate electrolytes in the blood. Sodium, potassium, calcium, chloride. Control of sodium is important in regulation of blood volume and pressure. Control of potassium important in proper functions of cardiac and skeletal muscles. Goal equals match ingestion with urinary excretion. Renal acid-base regulation. Kidneys help regulate blood pH by excreting hydrogen and reabsorbing bicarbonate ion. Normal urine normally is slightly acidic because the kidneys reabsorb almost all bicarbonate ion and excrete hydrogen. Return blood pH back to normal range. Micturition reflex, interstitial urethral sphincter, external urethral sphincter reflex control center located in the sacral level of the spinal cord. Filling activates stretch receptors. Message to micturition reflex center. Parasympathetic activation equals rhythmic contraction of the detrusor muscle equals relaxation of the interstitial urethral sphincter. Gotta go. Voluntary control over the external urethral sphincter is maintained until we consciously send inhibitory impulses to the external urethral sphincter. Bladder fills to 600 milliliters before you need to release. We can control sphincter muscles to hold off a bathroom urge. Bladder fills to 600 milliliters before we need to release. We can control sphincter muscles to hold off bathroom urge. Bladder fills to 600 milliliters before we need to release. We can control sphincter muscles to hold off bathroom urges.